Hello everyone, my name is Vernisa.
Hey y'all, this is Jen.
And this is our podcast, Speak Up. What's up, Jen?
Hey girl.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. God Experience episode 64.
I am speechless at this point about our numbers.
Yeah, it's just time is flying. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends. We created our podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect.
That's right. Self-love and respect are two core values we hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. What's our announcement for the crew?
So, we got to remind y'all that you can catch us live and unfiltered every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on the Good News Radio. You do have to download the app in order to chat with us live and to call in even to the show, but you can find the link to download the app on our bio at SpeakUpJV. Click the link and you'll be able to download the app and catch us live and unfiltered every Thursday, 7 p.m.
Yes, it's nothing like that live feeling. And also, before we get into the episode, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Urban Hippie Essentials. Check her out. Check out all natural holistic products. Some of our products are vegan. Me and Jen got this glow going on over here. Don't forget to use the discount code SpeakUp for 10% off your purchase. Her Instagram is at urbanhippie.essentials. Click the link in her bio to a list of all of her amazing products.
Y'all will not be disappointed.
Yes, most definitely. So, Jen, what's our title for today?
Today, our episode is called Get It Back.
What we getting back?
Our power, y'all. That is what we're getting into today.
Yes. Me and Jen felt like it was very important to talk about this because a part of your inner peace is having that power over yourself. When other people have power over us, that's what allows that toxic behavior to overrise. Yeah, that's true. I don't think we talk about this enough to say like what we allow or who we allow into our space, right? Sometimes, especially if we're more sociable, we like to talk to people, get to know people of all kinds, but we don't realize how much that can actually take a toll on us in a negative way. And don't get me wrong, there's good people out there, but we wanted to emphasize like watching out for the ones who aren't so good, and how to take your power back when that happens. Yes, and you may think, oh, I just see this person every now and then I do this, but sometimes you just being accessible to a person, you give them your time. Yeah, that's a person having that power of you, having that access to you, and people will take advantage of that and manipulate you through that. So let's get into the question, right? Like, how do you know when someone even has power over you to begin with? And I think that's kind of a hard question to answer, but if I were to think of it for myself, it would be when I'm more concerned about them than I am about me. When I'm worried more about what they're doing, when am I gonna see them next and things like that. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with looking forward to spending time with people, but like when it's all about them, your own happiness depends on them, I think that's the biggest telltale sign of them having power over you. I think too, when they have control over your emotions, like if something they say or do is affecting your day completely, or how the hangout went or whatever, like has a toll over your personal life when you're not even near them, I think that's another example of when someone has power over you. Been there, done that. This can go for any type of relationship. We're not just talking about romantic either. So we can talk about romantic relationships since we already own it. Oh, that's a big one. Power over romantic relationships. I mean, we see this a lot in relationships where if they're manipulative, abusive, mentally, all that stuff. Like, that's a person having power. And I think you realize the power a person has over you once you're done dealing with them. I think if like you're still affected by them, certain actions you do and stuff, that's you still being under their power. And I think too, even when you don't want to forgive somebody, they still have power over you. And I think that forgiveness is when you fully let that go. That's deep, yeah, because sometimes we think like, oh, getting rid of them was the best thing I did, which cool, it might be, but yeah, it's the lingering after effects like you were mentioning that is actually the biggest problem, because sometimes when you're in something, you don't see how bad it is until you've actually left or that person is no longer in your life. Like for me personally, yeah, it took me leaving that person, but it took like a year, almost 2 years, I want to say, for me to fully let go of that power that they had over me and really regain my own. But it wasn't until I actually sat down and faced myself in why was I letting this person affect my everyday, my emotions, even my decisions in my life, other relationships in my life as well. And it's not an easy thing to do, but it is very scary once you realize like how deep you were actually in it. No, that's real. And I feel like too, even when you are currently dealing with the person, if like you're jumping for them, dropping everything, or like your day's messed up because you didn't hear from them like that, that's another example. And let's talk about another after effect, that lurking. We and Jen did an episode on lurking, but if I'm sorry, you still gotta lurk on a person, they still have power over you. And I'm saying this from experience because I've been that person that lurked, and that person still had power over me because spirit, whatever I ended up seeing, that affected my emotions. Like whether let's be real, what is the point of the lurking? Because I talk about this all the time. I'm like, okay, you look, okay, you don't see anything, but then you feel stupid for looking. Then you see them. That hurts. You know, no, that's effective. And then you see something you don't want to see. Now you're hurting yourself. That person still has this thing over you. And I think that's something I had to realize about myself. Like, I have to take my power back with the accessibility and the whole still lingering after, like you were saying.
Ooh, well said. Yeah, lurking. You set yourself up for heartbreak and failure and all that. Yeah, check that episode out, by the way, because I think it was a really good episode. We held ourselves accountable for sure on that one.
Lurking ain't easy.
Yes, I love it that you brought that up though, because we don't think about that too, right? We're like, oh, F them, no, but if you're still checking, yeah, clearly you still care about them to some level, even if it's just quote unquote curiosity, seeing if they got better than you or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm calling ourselves out too, because yeah, I think when you realize how much you've really gotten your power back is when you finally don't care about this person. You don't wish them wrong either, but you just don't care about them and let them live their lives. I think a lot of us are so looking forward to, I'll be happy when I meet the one, I'll be happy when I'm married with kids or whatever. Like, that is actually letting romantic relationships in general have power over you. It doesn't even have to be tied to one specific person, but it's more so of what's going on in your romantic life that is affecting all of your other decisions, you know. And I think we really need to stop doing that. But again, we've talked about the influences of that and things like that, but I think that's a big one too.
That was a great point. That's deep. Because, yeah, you don't even want to focus on yourself because you don't have your power. Because you said it's all in that basket of, like, just having someone else to make that happiness. And I think, you know, once you get your power back, that's when you start being able to heal. You're not going to heal. You're going to still be in that hurt when someone else has that power. It's like something holding you down from the growth that you need to get up here. And I think that's the way we have to look at it when someone has power over you. Let's get into family, though. Family issues, that's deeper. Like, you know, let's be real. Family has a certain amount of power over us because that's our emotional spot. You know, especially when it's an elder, like a parent. Yes, you know, they're going to have your parents have some type of power over you. I'm not like saying like don't listen to them, nothing like that. But we're talking about when it's unhealthy for your well-being and it's driving you into spaces that you shouldn't be into because of whatever mistakes they made in the past or issues that they're taking out on you. You're internalizing it.
Well said, yo. And I think this is hard for us to talk about specifically too, because we're like either the oldest or the glue of the family trying to break the cycle. We're the main ones who remember everything maybe our parents went through, right? Or we had specific traumas in our childhood that brought us to where we're at. So I'll admit for me, yeah, family's always going to have that power because they're the main drive for what I'm doing, right? Like a lot of the goals that I have set in my life are based on what I want for my family. And yeah, like you were saying, there's nothing wrong with them having a certain power, but like when it comes to the point where you don't want to do something because you don't want to disappoint them, but it's your passion, right? Or let's say you want to make a big move somewhere, but you don't want to leave, you know, this family. And I'm talking about like parents and siblings and things like that. I'm not saying abandon your family, like, you know, your husband or nothing like that. Obviously talk to your partners. But yeah, when it comes to like family, if you want to make a decision that you know is going to ultimately benefit you and then them in the long run, I don't see anything wrong with making a little bit of a sacrifice in that decision, if you know it's going to be for both of y'all's benefits. But when that, let's say like there's a family member who's trying to stop you from ever having those goals achieved or your dreams, and then you're listening to them constantly, then you're starting to just live under their bubble, under their lifestyle, and you're never ever going to achieve what you want for yourself.
And I think a big part about growing and ascending is unlearning things. And I think, you know, growing up, those people that are, those family members that are older than you, they instill certain norms in your brain, like, well, that's your mom, that's your dad, you have to be like this, that we get confined to that, you know. And I think once you start unlearning everything, and that's you taking your power back to think for yourself and think about what you really want out of life. But when we stay under that belt, we're going to normalize those toxic behaviors. Me and Jen talked about that in the episode, like when it comes from family, that we don't even, we're in a blindfold. We don't see our power. And I feel like it could be a cousin too, it could be a sister, it could be whoever, but they'll use that tie of that love you're supposed to have for them as a way to like keep you under that belt.
It's that guilt, yo. We've said this before. A soul is a soul, no matter who it is, no matter what title is attached to this person in your life. So that's very real when they try to make you feel guilty for going after your dreams and what about me and you should always cater to me and blah blah blah. There are toxic family members out there who will make you feel guilty for even trying to break out of those cycles, or like you were saying, unlearning things in your past, because you're trying to be better, not necessarily better than them, just better than any situation that you grew up in, like any circumstances. And if sometimes that means having to take your own power back and just alleviate yourself from them, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I've learned to stop feeling guilty for other people's mistakes, for them not willing to go after what they really wanted. Like I'm going after me because I'm living my own life.
Oh, I love that. And sometimes some family members will envy you for wanting to be the one to break that chain because they decided to kind of stay in the same path that was already paved. But when you're the one taking the opposite direction, they'll try to keep that power over you to keep you down. And I think it's nothing wrong with getting to know yourself and figuring out what your spirit wants and taking that path.
Girl, well said. Yeah, y'all, we can go about family forever.
Right? I know we got to do another family episode.
Yeah. But another power that may happen in your relationships is in friendships, right? Again, like kind of how I was mentioning earlier, that we like to meet new people. We like to think that, oh, this person's a really good friend and things like that. But if you've ever been betrayed by somebody you trust, especially someone you considered a friend, then you know that's not always the case. And I've definitely seen friendships. Thankfully, I've never been so engulfed in a friendship like this, but like I've definitely seen friendships where one of the friends makes the other person feel guilty for trying to do something, or they're always like talking smack about each other, and those are different power points in the sense of, if this is how the dynamic of your friendship is when things are quote unquote good, can you imagine how they'll be when things hit the fan, right? Or like when these insults start to come up. So for me, that's where that power kind of comes in, of always knowing to have good boundaries with your friends as well. Like I'm big on having respect in any type of relationship, but especially in friendships, because I'm never gonna disrespect a friend or somebody I consider a friend, because I know that when things are good, they're gonna be good, but if they're bad, I have a certain side to me and I wouldn't want that disrespect to ever come in.
Oh, that's deep. And like sometimes the power could be because someone knows certain things about you. Like, with friends, you share intimate things and stuff. And that can be the power someone can hold over you, or like the time you spend, or like them crossing over the boundaries. Like let's say two friends and someone is dating someone. Some friends overstep that power and try to, control who and what you use the guilt trip of the friendship to make you feel some type of way. And it's like you have to be logical about that. Like, okay, is this healthy? Is this like hear them out? Is this friend making a good point? Like, am I the problem in this, or is it this person trying to take over their power over me because we're quote unquote friends? Yes, we all been crossed before, right? And honestly, I personally gained my power back in those situations by evaluating if these people were even real friends in the first place, and like doing the inner work with myself and noticing, is this someone that I need in my life? Is someone that is deserving of my time, or knowing certain things about me?
No, that's big, right? With power, it comes with that control. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the show called You, but basically in the first season, there's Beck, the main character, and then a girl she was friends with named Peach. And long story short, basically Peach was like trying to control everything that Beck did. Beck had dreams of becoming a writer, but Peach was like sabotaging certain opportunities for her, making sure that she only stayed under her thumb. When Peach was trying to travel to Paris, she like basically guilt tripped Beck into taking that trip with her. Obviously it goes a lot deeper and the show is about something completely different, but that particular friendship stuck out to me because there was definitely that power struggle in the sense where, because Beck wasn't in a certain financial position, she depended on Peach for a lot of things. So money has a lot to do with that as well, even in friendships. That's why too, like I'm big on watch how much money y'all share with your friends and things like that, or if money should even be involved in the first place, because that's a big one. But yeah, like I always think of that too. Don't just call anybody your friend, yo, and especially when you feel like you're constantly having to show yourself, right? Like you're having to size up the person, in the sense of like, well, I can make my own decisions. That is not a real friend if you constantly have to do that. Friendships take compromise back and forth.
And I think we have to look at loyalty and intentions. Those are the big thing. And I feel like everything else will fall into place if all that is aligned. And Jen said the respect. Those are big. Another thing too, you know, we got to be more selfish about our time. Time is the biggest thing. And I've been really seeing the value of my time this past couple months. I really been like, really think about who am I spending my most time with, being more selfish. Even if I just want to spend time with myself, like the long ago I took myself out to a social setting by myself and I had a great time. But what I'm trying to say is, like, you know, when we're accessible to every single person, you know, these people will take advantage of that. Like, you know, and sometimes your presence itself is the blessing, you know, the value of it and stuff. And you have to put the value on that, on it, or else people will be like, okay, well, Jen's always going to be there. I can always just, you know, pop up, dump on her, drain her, you know, whatever I want to, make her feel whatever because I'm feeling shitty. People will do that to you. And you really have to be mindful of who and what you're spending your time with and what you're doing.
Girl, I love that you brought that up because I think a lot of that comes from like people pleasing, right? Some of us may have grown up a certain way in our home or just with friendships and things like that, that we don't want to be the bad guy. We don't want to be the one saying no or going against the grain or having a different opinion from other people. And that can show up in a lot of different ways. And yeah, if you're spending time with just any type of person and not realizing how much of you you're actually losing, then yeah, you may have that people pleasing mentality, and it's time for us to defeat that. We need to get out of that. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot easier said than done, because I was definitely a people pleaser when I was younger. I was the type of person who, I was a nice girl, you know, I was the quiet girl, the one who wanted to get to know everybody and everybody to like me. But I learned very quickly that's not healthy for me, that I wasn't ever, for one, I wasn't ever going to get to know who the real me was, because I was always trying to mold myself into different situations with different people. But then two, no matter what I did, not everybody's going to like me. It is what it is, right? There are certain people you're just never going to click with, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're good or bad. It just means they're not meant to be in your life. But if you're not mindful about who you're spending time with, then you're never going to find out. Certain people just don't belong in your circle.
Oh, that's deep. I had to learn to like myself, like you were saying. We're trying to get everyone else to like us. You know, I was a big people pleaser. I would compromise my own happiness for others because I'm like, well, I want to make this person, I don't want them mad at me. I want to show. And honestly, people pleasing only hurts you. You're the only one hurt at the situation. Because in the day, what they're doing, draining you, and guess what? They not gonna fill your cup back up in the day. You got to fill your own cup back up. So why not keep your cup full? You know, I had to learn that the hard way. We all go through. I just said, because sometimes too, these people who drain you or that you're people pleasing, it's under disguise. Like they don't fully show their cards. Because yeah, you meet people, they be super nice, they be cool, you trust them, and bam, they get you. But it's not about I'm not saying you have to be in full defense mode every single time, but it's really about listening to your intuition or like catching those things that subliminally happen, because people's true colors really do come out. That light, it comes on gently. Sometimes it's not the loudest thing, but I think of like all the tiny things I would avoid when I was people pleasing. Oh, they're just being like, oh, they're just, and the whole time it was that person really showing who they were, you know, and I learned to stop ignoring that.
That's true. Let's be real. People take advantage, right? Whether you people please or not, but especially if you're that people pleaser, because like you said, they know Vernice is always going to be there. Jen's always going to be the one I can dump on and things like that. But when people see that, they automatically just start saying, oh yeah, she gonna be there, you know, it doesn't matter how I treat her, or they just don't value you because you don't value yourself. You are your biggest defense. You need to be the one fighting for you. You need to be your biggest fan, so you need to make sure you're the one setting up the value for yourself. And if you're just constantly people pleasing, then you're never gonna show other people that you have value to begin with. And I think that sucks saying that, but I think it's very necessary, because if we're not the ones telling ourselves that we're this, we're that, we're not the ones liking ourselves in the first place, we can't expect to have anything real and deep with somebody else that's actually healthy to begin with.
And that goes with setting those boundaries and then being selfish with your time. So you ain't got to go around that. Like in a day, after you hang with people, you're getting to know people, analyze how you feel around those people. Someone's always making you feel like insecure, you know, you feel like you got to like argue with them, you got to like stand up for yourself. That's draining. That's not natural. Like that's not, you're not, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you don't have disagreements with people that you care about, but if it's a constant thing, you always having to say something to them, check them, you know, who got time to be doing all that? You know, that's not a genuine friendship. That means something is wrong. They need some inner work, you need some. And then also too, I'm gonna be real, a lot of it was me too, needing to work on my backbone. Yes, I'm a sweet, I used to be very sweet and very naive at that, and I don't take those experiences for granted, because it helped me gain a backbone and gain more voice for myself, and learning how to stand up for myself. Being a young child who was silent for a lot of her life, you know, so it's like, yeah, it's hard when you get out there in the real world dealing with people and they're coming at you a certain way, and it's like, how do you react when you used to be in silence and being in, you know, having anxiety and stuff. But honestly, when you do grow that backbone of, like, you know, stand up for yourself, valuing your time and your space, people will start to respect you more when it comes to that. So I don't know, that's just a big thing to take in.
That's true. And that's why I can't be mad at certain experiences that I've gone through, especially when I was like more in that people pleasing mentality, because I wouldn't be where I'm at now, right? Yeah. Now, I'm very outspoken. I don't let people walk all over me, because I used to be on the other side of that. So if you're constantly, or you're currently battling with that yourself, have grace with yourself too, but also learn to take your own time seriously. Like we were hitting up on earlier, that you place the value on you. So by doing that, you learn also what you want to be around, who you want to be around, what you're filling your time with, and things like that. Time is the one thing you will never be able to get back, no matter what. It continues to go, no matter what age you're at, what place you're at, it will continue to go. So make sure that you're taking it very seriously and not filling it up with just mindless people, or meaningless people, I should say, and mindless conversations or friendships.
No, that's deep, because it's going to keep ticking. In a day, this can get pretty lonely when you remove your energy, but it's more peaceful. And honestly, it won't be lonely for long, because you start to enjoy that peace. And then I'm telling you, you really ain't gonna want the BS. Like I said, the space that I've been in recently just really gets into, I'm like, yeah, like, why was I inviting all that? You question why, like, what's the point of even inviting it, you know, into my life? Because, you know, when you ask to hang with someone, you trying to be around everyone, you're inviting that into your life and stuff. But when you know what real peace with yourself is like, you are going to be more selective. You're like, okay, who enhances this peace that I already give to myself?
Ooh, love it.
That's a shirt too.
For real. If y'all don't know, we gonna have SpeakUpJV lingo merch coming.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Very soon.
Manifest it. Yeah.
But we're trying to emphasize, right, that people only have the power you give them. At the end of the day, you're the one in charge of everything. You're the one that gets to decide who you want in your space and things like that. Yes, like Bernice was mentioning, it gets very lonely sometimes. But you realize that people are very ordinary. They're only extraordinary because you made them that way. Kind of like the Janae Aiko song, right?
That's deep. You weren't special.
Yeah, you weren't special till I made you so.
But act like you know.
That part. But I live by that quote now, because I realize, first of all, why was I placing more power on this person than myself? Why was I giving them more love than I was giving myself? Like, that should never be the case. You should never lose yourself to somebody else, whether it is a family member, friendship, romantic partner especially. You have to have your back. And if you're realizing the kind of relationships that you're actually allowing into your life, the kind of relationships you're manifesting into your life, then you realize that there's more to you than there are to these people, that you're the one in charge of every single person and how much value you place on them in your life.
That's real. And like, don't feel guilty for having to change who you want to be around. It's okay, because in a day, like, that's you growing. And sometimes when we're growing, everyone doesn't come with us, right? You know, I'm gonna say this again, you shouldn't have to be in defense mode around people. So if people are constantly making you feel like you have to have armor on when you're around them, that is not a healthy friendship
or relationship in general.
You gotta prepare have your comebacks ready. I don't want to do that. Like, I want to have a good time. I'm hanging out with somebody, like, you know, good vibes and smiling and laughing. Like, and I think, you know, there's a lot of that happening, like subliminal things when people hang. You see it all the time on movies, on shows. I've been around people who, like, I'm hanging with their friends, you know, and they're like kind of having these little moments. I'm like, that ain't a cool friendship. Like, I've met people who fought their friends and things like that. I'm like, yeah, because in the day, like, the signs were there, you know. And it's really about, like, we really need to analyze who we're surrounding ourselves with.
That's true. And this is why I'm big on who you call friends, right?
Tell it.
Friend term, I do not take it lightly, because ultimately you show people how you want to be treated by what you allow. And with friends, or quote unquote friends, if you allow them to disrespect you, call you a certain name, or literally physically fight you when y'all get into an argument, then that's going to keep happening because you're allowing it to happen. So we need to, again, place that value on ourselves. What are you allowing? It's okay to have boundaries in your relationships, any type of relationship, even with your romantic partner. They don't have to know everything about you. You don't have to know everything about them. Or if you need your space, they need their space, please listen to those boundaries, because that's also you placing not only value on yourself, but value on the relationship in general. We're people, we're humans, we have emotions, so we need to step away from other people if we don't want to pop off on just anybody, right? We've seen people who take their mood out on everybody that they come across, but they probably just needed a moment to be by themselves and recharge, right? Because I've been that person too, especially if I'm hungry. I get moody, but it's because I need to be by myself until I get some food. Can't even have Snickers.
You're not you.
But yeah, it's true, right? Like, that's a silly example, but it goes deep into that of because if I'm not in a good mood and I'm allowing other people to affect that mood even more, then I'm placing more value on them rather than on myself. So just be mindful of, like what you allow to be treated as in your relationships.
I love that. And also too, you know, when you, after you say someone's in your life and you remove your energy for a little bit because you're like, okay, I'm seeing how this person really is, they gonna hit you with the, you know, that they miss you. They would start inviting you to different things and stuff. Sometimes a person don't even miss you.
Right.
They miss the control that they had over you. So you have to be mindful of that too, because people feel when that power shifts, when they can't, their little tactics don't work anymore. You know, that happens with narcissistic situations as well, right? And sometimes they don't even, people just want to feed their ego and knowing like, oh, well, this person ain't putting up with my stuff. And think about it too, if everybody that they were manipulated remove themselves from their life, think about it, that leaves them to look in the mirror at themselves. But some people love to keep those distractions around them. That makes them feel good knowing they have all these, because when people are dealing with them, it's like, okay, it ain't me, I ain't the problem. Right. But if everyone just stop effing with them, they will realize, you know, it's time for them to stare in the mirror. People don't want to do that, so that's why they keep their arms out trying to keep certain people around them.
They're always recruiting new victims.
And then that, we ain't going down them horror stories no more.
No ma'am. But if you've ever like lost your power over somebody, it's okay. Let's grow from those mistakes, right? Like we were saying, have grace with yourself, be patient with yourself. It's okay. I've been that person. That's the whole reason part of this podcast even came about, because we've lost ourselves to other people or situations that we had no business doing so, but it's because we had to learn about ourselves, learn about our boundaries, our own value even to begin with as women, as people, human beings in general. So definitely grow from your mistakes, have grace with yourself, but keep going.
I love that. And honestly, this relates to self-love, because having your power is what's going to allow you to love yourself unconditionally. So why are we giving it out to everyone else? We have to put it back to ourselves so we can pour into ourselves. Yeah,
that's very true. Honestly, anytime you're fighting for yourself, you are practicing self-love. So definitely make sure that you're doing that. And we want to put this out there too. Stop expecting you out of others, right? Sometimes we're good people. We care about others. We want to fight for them and make sure they do better and we do better for them. But that's because that's us. Not everybody's going to be that way. Not everybody's going to have the best intentions or have your back even, or really even be a friend to you if shit ever hit the fan, right? If they have a chance to betray you, they probably will, even though you wouldn't. So we need to stop thinking that everybody's going to act the same way that we do.
Yeah, and it ends up hurting you in the long run, because guess what? That makes it easier for you to get blindsided. I used to be like, oh, they wouldn't do that, because I'm thinking of myself. One time I tweeted, I said something like, I'm always seeing the light in people, even when they don't see it. And so this guy tweeted me and was like, maybe you're seeing your own light. And it's true. Sometimes you see your own, we do see ourselves in people sometimes. You know, I'm not like pumping myself up, but I'm just saying, like, you know, when we do that too, that could be sometimes detrimental, because it's like we're not going to see them for who they are. And my point is, see people for who they are. So if they have a track record of acting a certain way, you have history of them being a certain way. Yes, if they've done it, they're going to do it again. And I think when we're like, well, I want to do that, I'm going to, you know, that's where we kind of fool ourselves.
That's very true. When people show you multiple times who they are, believe them. Okay, the red flags, the backhanded compliments,
little slick
all kinds of things that just rub you the wrong way. If they go against your own core values, believe that is who they are. Because the thing is too, right, when you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's romantic, friendship, or familial, you know certain things about a person. Like, you know, they value honesty or loyalty or love, you know, whatever. And if this person is trying to have a certain power over you or anything, and they betray those, and you're not doing anything about it, then that's kind of your fault, because you keep seeing the same thing happening over and over again, and you're choosing to still engage in it, right? And I'm holding myself accountable for this, because I've definitely seen red flags in something, but it's like, oh no, but I like red, so I'm gonna say
I like flags.
Obviously that's silly, but it can lead into something even more detrimental in the long run. So definitely believe when people show you their true colors, because those are exactly what they're made out of.
Yeah, learn to trust your instincts about people. I can't tell you how many times I got a bad feeling about a person, but I freaking ignored it. I've even expressed it to certain friends, like, I don't know about this. And I still trusted or believed, because I feel like I'm really trying to find the good. And it's like, that's another thing. Your spirit, your instincts know before, your intuition knows before you even do, before it even happens. So it's like, trust that stuff. I always say there's a spiritual warfare going on that we don't even see. And it's like, listen to that when you get those feelings.
That's true. Ultimately, you put value on yourself, right? And you have more power than you give yourself credit for. Like, we need to really realize how much power we have, again, in deciding what relationships we keep in our lives, what people, what situations we continue to entertain or not. Like, we have all of that. Life is about choices. So there's always different consequences to different choices we make. And sometimes it's about the people that we made those choices about. So always make sure that you're practicing your own power when it comes to these types of relationships.
No, I love that you said it's a choice, because we can choose to surrender to someone else and let them just continue running us or controlling our emotions, or we can take them. And it's not easy, trust me, especially when you have emotions for a person, you're you're real close to them.
Right.
But when it becomes unhealthy and they're over you, that's when it's a problem, and you need to cut the cord and free yourself from it and do the work that you need to do. Yeah,
that's very true. You're always in charge of either giving away or taking back your power, right? Nobody else is going to do that for you. So that's what we wanted to really emphasize and drive home with this episode with y'all, that it ultimately comes back down to you. Get it back, right? Get your power back. Keep the power or give it away if you want to. But ultimately, it is your decision.
Yes, most definitely. We appreciate y'all for tapping in to our 64th episode. Yeah. What's our message, Jen?
So we wanted to remind y'all to check us out on the Good News Radio live every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Download the app. You can click the link in our bio to be able to do so. You get to chat with us live, y'all. You get to call in and really be part of the show. It really helps when we have our listeners engaging with us. It makes it a lot more fun, not just for us, but for y'all as well, and letting you know that we are listening to you out there too. So yeah, Good News Radio, live and unfiltered every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Click the link in our bio to download the app.
Yes, you will not be disappointed. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsor at Urban Hippie Essentials. Like we said, all natural holistic products giving us this glow. Shout out to Andrea. Hey, girl. Make sure y'all follow her at urbanhippie.essentials and use discount code SpeakUp for 10% off your purchase. Also, check us out on our other platforms. We're watching this on YouTube. YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean, apparently iHeartRadio. Check us out on Instagram at SpeakUpJV. Also, check us out on Twitter at SpeakUpJV. We'd love to hear from y'all. But we appreciate y'all. Have a good one.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.